Hey, we are live, folks. Welcome, everyone. This is News4us World Special Report. We're going to be reporting on Dr. Phil on the ground with ICE in Chicago, as well as some of this U.S. aid scandal that's going on with some of the money laundering being exposed and some of the wasteful spending in the government. So, with that being said, would you like to introduce yourself, Robin, since you're on here too, and you're going to be commenting with me?
Sure. My name is Robin Austin, and I'm just another citizen journalist trying to shed light on what's really going on in the world. And Stephen and I have partnered up to bring forward some information, and hope we've got some stuff that will be fascinating, interesting, and enlightening for you.
Yes, and insightful. And insightful. All right, so let's bring up our first thing. We're going to watch a few different segments of this Dr. Phil podcast on the ground with ICE in Chicago. We're not going to watch the whole thing. We're going to watch probably about anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes of it, relevant content, so that you guys can get an idea of what's really going on the ground there. And then we have the source link to this video sourced in our description. All right. Now, oh no, I'm going to go back. Hold up. I accidentally clicked the wrong thing. There we go. I went to go click share sound and it went away from me and it clicked.
Those 270 people.
From these.
All right, here we go.
If those 270 people are gone from these communities, how much safer these communities are, those people are gone.
We're focused on criminals, public safety threats, national security threat first. And those just make sense. They're the biggest dangers of communities. We'll deal with them first.
Hey, Dr. Phil here, and you're listening to the Dr. Phil Podcast. Tom Homan, the former ICE director and now President Trump's border czar, is all about transparency and the letter of the law. When they decided to undertake the first large multi-agency operation to identify, target, and arrest dangerous illegal aliens in Chicago, he agreed to allow Merit TV to embed with agents and document factually what was going on. Specifically, how targets were identified, prioritized, approached, and taken into custody. Well, without hesitation, I got on a plane and flew to Chicago. What I witnessed was eye-opening. Here's what happened. Well, we've just arrived in Chicago, and I'm getting ready to meet with Tom Homan, and we're going to brief what's happening tomorrow, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, go over all the security protocol, because it's a pretty high-risk mission that we're going on. This truly is a targeted ICE mission, because they're not sweeping neighborhoods like people are trying to imply. I know that because I've been involved in this, heading into this. They've identified 270 high-value targets. And what I mean by that is these are known criminals and terrorists. We're talking about murderers, child traffickers, child rapists. We're talking about bad actors, both in the countries they've come from and since they've been here in the United States. Some of these people have 12, 15 arrests, indictments, some convictions in their home countries and here, but yet they're on the streets. And that's who ICE is targeting to bring out of these communities. So we're going after specific targets, not just sweeping neighborhoods. One thing I've learned about Tom Homan since I've come to know him, he is very pro-immigration. He's got some programs that he's working on that are going to be unveiled soon. That are going to really indicate that. But he's got three objectives. One, close the border, get it under control. Two, get the criminals, the dangerous people out of the communities and off the street. And three, rescue these missing children. There are over 300,000 missing children. Some of them may be with family. That's fine. Let's identify that. Some of them have been trafficked into sweatshops, prostitution, really bad outcomes for these children. So those are the three objectives. And this one that we're working on starting in just a few hours is to get these bad actors off the street, these known violent criminals out of the community. How could anybody disagree with that? Well, I'm with Tom Holman in an undisclosed location. I'm not going to talk about that right now. I can say we're in Chicago because this isn't nobody's going to see this until after we're already doing what we're doing. So we're embargoing this. But tell everybody what we're here planning and what's going to happen tomorrow.
We're here to do an ICE operation, as promised by the president and myself. We're going to concentrate on public safety threats. Chicago is a sanctuary city. So every public safety threat who's a foreign national who gets arrested in this area will get released back into the community to reoffend. So we're here to start this operation tomorrow. We got hundreds of targets we're looking for. We're going to make this city safer starting tomorrow.
Okay, now, you and I have talked many times, and you're all about three things that I understand. One is closing the border and making sure that people that come into this country come in through a port of entry, and we know who those people are. And they're qualified to come into this country for the right reason, the right people for the right reasons. Number two, taking the dangerous people that already have gotten into this country that should have never gotten into this country are taken off the streets. We're talking about murderers, violent people, rapists, child molesters, sex offenders, traffickers, drug dealers, arms dealers, terrorists. Those are the kind of people that we're talking about, right?
Absolutely. And starting right after inauguration, we've already arrested over 1,000 criminals, illegal aliens in this country. We're going to start with Chicago tomorrow.
All right. And those that you've arrested is just in the normal operations of ICE doing what they do. And then the third prong is finding and rescuing the children that have just been lost in the system. And there's 300,000 plus children. We're not saying all of those have been trafficked, not all of those. Some of them are with family, maybe. We hope many of them, but we know a lot of them aren't. That's the third prong. But tomorrow, the focus is on targeting these violent criminals that are victimizing some of their countrymen that are here. They maybe start with them, but then they're committing crimes in America. They're dealing drugs. They're committing murders.
It appears that our video feed has frozen up, but it goes on to talk about the fact that some people have expressed concern that the ICE operations are sort of a broad sweep, that they're going to affect people who are just trying to live their lives, who also happen to be people that came into the country illegally. That is, those will be targets of opportunity, as you'll learn whenever our video comes back. But the focus is on individuals that are criminals, that are doing criminal acts, that have been arrested before, and some of them numerous times. And these criminal acts range, as Dr. Phil has illustrated, from child trafficking to drug trafficking to real violence, murders, rapes, torture of individuals that are and we've heard these stories. Some of them I can verify through inside sources in my area. And we happen to be in Colorado, and in Colorado, there was a story of a couple that was taken by some Tren de Aragua Venezuelan gang members and tortured for several hours. And they were able to get away by promising that they would not go to the police. And so the reality is that this is all very real. That we have criminals from all over the world that have come to the United States with the sponsorship, really, of the American public through the government that was in place. And that whole thing is being reversed now. And so that's what's going on here. And hopefully we'll get our video back. But in the meantime, I just wanted to sort of keep things going by letting you know this is not, they're not going into schools and pulling children out. They're not going into clinics and pulling people out of those. These are targeted operations that are aimed at criminal elements that present a real and present danger, not only to their own countrymen in the country also, but to American citizens that none of whom deserve to be surrounded by criminals that sort of were invited in by our government. And so we face this invasion that happened over the last 4 years, and it is now something that we've got to deal with.
We'll be back up soon.
I
If I have
have
to, I'll read you the live.
I have Stephen on the line. Apparently, he's having technical difficulties at his end. It appears to me that we're still going, but we may need to relaunch the whole program because
It's not letting me back into the Zoom.
it's not letting me back into the Zoom. And so it's your call, Stephen.
Yeah, I want to still do it. I'm not going to just
Right.
not do the show.
Right. So he reports to me that we are intending to go forward with the show, but I hope you can bear with us. We may need to relaunch and begin again. And if that's the case, then that's exactly what we'll do, because we have some very pertinent information and some very good information. And it begins with this segment from Tom Homan being interviewed by and Dr. Phil being embedded with Tom Homan in his in Chicago. They went into Chicago and they pulled a lot of criminals out where they knew where they were, they knew where they were going, they had their names, they had addresses, they had done the research to find the people that they were targeting specifically. And in the course of the show, it does come out that yes, there are also some targets of opportunity where there are other people who entered the country illegally that are not particularly criminals, other than the fact that they entered the country illegally and have remained, even though they've been instructed to to get out. They're not allowed here without going through the process of immigration. And Tom Homan is apparently very pro-immigration. He recognizes the value to our society and to our culture, but he
It's giving me an unknown error occurred, error code 100052000. So I'm just gonna we're gonna redo the Zoom.
all right,
Start it over.
ladies and gentlemen, we're going to sign off now, and we'll be
Stay with
back
us.
in a few moments. Stay tuned.